talk to God. It's a good thing to meditate and listen to Him, but
Right.
it's also a damn good thing to take that information that you got and go out and serve, not get paid for what you're doing, but go out there and help people in your own neighborhood. And I'm sure you're aware of, as we move towards 2012, we are going to have to be able to look out for each other.
Right.
Our government obviously can't do it or won't do it. Maybe it's just not interested in doing it. Maybe they can't afford to do it. But we are finally going to really have to be our brother's keeper. You've seen what's going on in Iowa, where most people thought that the center of our country is pretty safe. It's the east and west coast we got problems with. Well, guess what? That's not what Casey and others have said. They said the center of our country, especially the Mississippi River, may eventually divide this country in half. And the coasts may also have that same kind of flooding. We're in for big changes here, and I'm sure you're aware of that, and so are your listeners.
Oh, you know, our listeners are definitely well-versed on those subjects, and I appreciate you bringing that up. But perhaps I'm just wondering, in the Statue of Liberty, does she got like a broomstick stuck somewhere that we don't know about?
A broomstick?
As she rides? You know,
no. The Statue of Liberty is all about higher consciousness.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that crown on her head is like a halo.
Okay.
And the whole aspect of what she is she's telling us this. All human beings are not just physical bodies. If you pay attention to our media today, our media basically tells us that all you are is a good physical body, and go out there and get every toy and gadget you possibly can. It was just like right after 2001, 9/11, our president tells us, go out and use your credit card and buy. Well, that's not going to solve our problems of going out and buy things to build the economy. Life is not just always about building your economy. It has a lot to do with your spiritual self. And there is a science, as I'm sure you're aware of, and that's what secret societies really are about. They're really about how can one get in touch with and communicate with the immortal aspect of yourself, your soul, your spirit, whatever you'd like to call it. And there's a science to it, and that's what all the other secret societies have been teaching for millenniums. And of course, it can be dangerous, but at the same time, it can also be uplifting.
Oh, okay. Now here we have this question. A listener would like to know, were most of the founding fathers of America Freemasons, and if so, why?
No, I think I mentioned this earlier. That information came from Manly Palmer Hall and a whole group of other people whom I call the fundamentalist conspiratorialists who didn't do their homework. And they basically, instead of the 50 of the 56 signers of Declaration of Independence, which all of them tell you that's who, but they're using information that is totally inaccurate. Only 9. Only 9. There may have been 10 or 11, but that's a far cry from 50, and it's certainly not most. But what it was, Freemasonry wasn't the key to what our founding fathers were about. It was about the age of enlightenment, the separation of church and state. That was the key, because when church and state got together, they basically dominated individuals' lives. You had to belong to one certain religion, and the state told you how much you had to pay them to continue into existence. And this is one of the most important things about the Age of Enlightenment. It said basically that mankind can rule himself instead of being ruled by a monarchy. And we almost lost our battle to maintain our republic in the 1790s, when the same type of conspiratorialists started. Their names were John Robeson, and Barruel. Both of these individuals published books. The books were later found out to be some of the most poorly researched books ever to be used in regards to it. Some of it was hoaxes, like the Priory of Zion. I mean, you know, everyone knows now that it was a hoax by the Russian police, because the Russian police wanted to take all the possessions of the Jews, and this was their excuse for taking all of their possessions. So by and large, it used to be that the Jews were picked on, still are in some ways, of course. The Roman Catholic Church was picked on. and now it's the Freemasons' turn to get picked on.
All right.
And basically, that people totally misunderstood and misunderstand their symbolism and their ideas, especially when they look at the reverse of the Great Seal and see this pyramid and the eye in a triangle. It looks Freemasonic, but it's not.
Okay.
Because the eye in the triangle itself is actually was not used by Freemasonry until 30-some years after it was put on the Great Seal of the United States. The Freemasons took those symbols. They took other symbols from other people. It's the other way around. The only way to find this out is to go to primary research, and that's why people do their PhDs, to get basically to the primary stuff and stop quoting other people, because when you go up on the Internet, what do you find out about the Statue of Liberty? They'll tell you that the Statue of Liberty actually is satanic.
Yeah.
When they talk about the Liberty Bell, they'll tell you that the Liberty Bell also is satanic, that the eagle is satanic.
Ooh.
This is kind of...
What about the owl?
What about the owl?
The
owl is
where's the Satanism here?
It's the wise old owl of Athena. I mean, what's wrong? What's being satanic about being wise?
Well,
unless Moses.
Well, because his head spins around. That's why. Because an owl's head spins around like the Exorcist. That's why he's demonic. So, you know what I'm saying?
What? Yeah, but I mean, there's there's a lot of positive advantages of having your head turning all around.
Yeah.
I mean, you're comparing a movie which has no facts in it at all to
wait a minute
of an owl. The owl has always been a symbol for wisdom, and it wasn't until oh gosh, what's the name of that group that used the very big owl? It's coming to my mind. The Bohemian Grove.
Oh, yeah.
The Bohemian Grove
that
made up its own rituals out there in California.
Meet me at the Grove.
Pardon me, I'm sorry.
Meet me at the Grove.
Yeah, meet you at the Grove.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a big party over there.
Bohemian Grove, in which they made up all of the rituals, and by and large, it seems to me, and others that have actually taken part of it, that this is a group of very powerful, wealthy individuals deciding to have a good time and getting drunk most of the time. The rituals that they use, I'm pretty much familiar with various rituals because I was a member of at least a dozen secret societies, and the rituals that they use are pretty pathetic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they are, because they steal and stole from all kinds of other societies. So it's almost like Halloween. Okay. It's almost like a put-on. Yeah. That's the problem with the situation when people start looking at Freemasonry, because Freemasonry is not anywhere near as powerful as most people would like to think. Yeah. They're going there. It's a red herring. They should be looking at the Skull and Bones. They should be looking at CFR. They should be looking at the Trilateral Commission. Instead, they're looking at a bunch of older men who are nice people working on various things who really have no involvement with any of the kind of things that we are being told about on the Internet. Because you know that the Internet, by and large, does not have any peer review. None at all.
No, it doesn't.
And because of that, anyone can write and post anything. Anyone can tell lies and get away with it. Now, you've had some really important guests that I have high regard for. More recently, who's this fellow from Australia? I'm trying to get his name. I know you know. He's either just coming on your show again or whatever. This individual in Australia who is challenging, and I'm glad someone is challenging evolution, because
John McKay.
John McKay, yeah. I mean, now there are ways to challenge evolution, and there are ways of challenging evolution. And I think McKay is doing the right way, because there are definite errors in some of the ideas and foundations of evolution. It doesn't mean that it's all wrong. It means that it's not hitting the nail on the head, and it needs to be questioned, because some of the information, as McKay would, I haven't heard any of the debates that he's had, but obviously he's done his homework. Now, that kind of an individual that is capable of going to